Yo, Books, can you hear me?
Hello there.
Hello. Can you just introduce yourself so I can do your audio?
Yeah, of course. My name is Booksdragon. I'm Hauptmann Booksdragon. I'm the co-clan lead of the 390 IR, one of the clans making up the Armeegruppe Adler.
Is that good
And
audio,
I
chat?
got to be a lonely little radio man this match. And short-time squad lead.
And right, I think I've got your audio dialed in. So yeah, you were playing the Radio Man. We saw that. I'll jump straight into it. It's kind of similar to the last time I asked you questions. First question that I ask everyone: are you pleased with the results of this match?
Well, we kind of have a different situation than the last few games that, well, we lost. But I think it's generally we fought very well and we can be proud of ourselves in some way because we did not lose through the infantry fighting or the mortars. It's just those damn tanks on chapter 2 maps. And due to this we kind of we lost the match. We thought we were prepared against the tanks, but we could not counter them as much as we hoped. And due to that we lost, but I think otherwise we fought really well. We did our best. We pulled on through, and we now have the chance to get our revenge on the return match.
You do, you do. That is something we did see throughout the match, and it's what we've seen in other matches so far. Those French tanks are just dominating, and even though I think you had two P4s, which was a great German deck to have, it was just no stopping them. So, speaking of the French dominance with their tanks, this is the first time a Chapter 2 map has been used in a tournament setting for Postscriptum. What are your feelings about it?
I have to agree with the things the admins of this tournament said, that as chapter 2 as well as chapter 3 are parts of the game, and I think that we have to fight these matches like Stun, like some chapter 3 maps are also very tricky. It's just a part of the whole map pool, and just as challenging or even more challenging to get into those matches, to get a good tactic going. Because I think if we would only fight just chapter 1, it would be boring for my part, but also not very exciting because the maps are limited. But it's a whole nother thing with these chapter 2 maps or chapter 3. And the good thing is, if these matches were only one round, I would be against it, because then one team would have such an advantage. But since we always fight one round as the attacker and one round as the defender, it's perfectly balanced, because we always have the chance to get that revenge, to do just the same things they did to us. And due to this, I think it's balanced, and we can also technically fight maps such as Arnhem, where one side doesn't even have tanks at all. But the balance comes through the rematch, just as my co-clan lead Per Conti said wonderful in the chat.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be nice to see future updates from Periscope where they do address some of the issues in Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 maps, because I do think they do have a scene in the competitive element. It's just we need some help from Periscope to make them a bit more balanced. And if we look at the matches on Friday, Cole FR, for example, even though they was on the defended team, they managed to win the game through tickets. So it does show, even if you are on the unbalanced side, gameplay wise, you can still pull off a win. It just depends on your team as well. So, no, I agree.
Possible, and especially I think if we would take away that possibility, if you just said, yo, just chapter 1 maps or no tricky maps, I think where there would be no challenge. And I think that the fun part of this is that we have to fight matches like this, and through that things change up, and I'm actually really a big fan of it. So it keeps the whole thing very exciting. And also, we all had our chance to discuss the map pool before the ladder started, and it didn't really happen. And I think just discussing them like 1 week before the whole round started was also a mistake.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on from that then, and I want to talk about your team's strategy going into this match. Can you tell us what you plan to do as a team this game?
Well, our biggest focus laid on the tanks, of course. are the whole key to this map and to chapter 2 in general. We had to somehow destroy those tanks, and I have to kind of throw myself in the dark here. I thought we were prepared. That I thought we could fight the enemy tanks. We had some good tactics prepared, but they didn't pull through. And due to that, we, as I already said, I think the tanks lost us the whole match. Yeah, our tactic was mainly focused on, our preparation was focused on fighting those tanks, but that, as already said, and which we showed in the match, didn't really work out all too well. And yeah, the infantry fighting was good, on par, just as I expect from my guys. But well, the tanks are a thing for themselves. Tanks.
Yeah, that's something we saw throughout the game. You guys were utilizing pretty much everything you could. You had the packs out, you had the 88s out, you caught in assets on the tanks, you had your own tanks trying to go after their tanks. Those French tanks just proved to be very, very unstoppable during this game. When it comes to how many caps Rusty 40 took, when it came to that second cap, did you have a plan in mind? I think it's called Le Pain, the big hill, the second cap.
Yeah, I think we had a especially for the second point, for the third point, we had our tactics prepared. But the thing with tactics, especially after the first capture point, is you can kind of plan where the enemy might be, but the whole situation can change in a dime. So it's always possible that the enemy is somewhere entirely different that you expected it. But I think the second capture point is especially hard to defend because you can basically attack from anywhere. And the enemy used their mortars quite well on that second point. I think the second point is the best point to use mortars, since they just mortared when they were near it, and when they got us out of the point due to the mortars, there isn't any real protection against them there. And when they got us out, they moved in, so that was very well executed.
Yeah, no, I agree. When it comes to Rusty 40 as well on the attack, they seem to always get in behind you guys with a squad. And how annoying was there? I think it was a 40-1 squad. How annoying were they?
I luckily wasn't on the receiving end of that. I think my Logi guys got most of that. I talked shortly to one of my Logi guys. He was pretty salty. So they did a great job shutting down our 88s. And of course, that kind of took out our strongest anti-tank possibility. So yeah, they did a great job. But I think I also have to kind of give a shout out to the UBA. They also were great guerrilla fighters, flanking or attacking the enemy where they did not expect it. So I think both sides really pulled off that quite well.
That's the squad I was going to mention on your side. The UBA guys, I don't know who their squad leader was, but throughout the entire match, they were guerrilla fighters. They were just annoying Rusty 40. And sometimes they pushed really far out and found MSPs and rallies. So yeah, that UBA, I think it was only a 5-man. Is that correct?
I don't know that.
Okay, well, either way, they were very annoying to the Rusty 40 guys. So yeah, shout out to them. Is there anything from tonight that you've learned going into next week when you attack?
Yeah, the whole I'm not trying to give away too much, but the whole tank thing is a whole tactic that's still developing. We learned a lot through this match and through some training matches and friendly matches before that. It's like due to, like, for example, drill has been played countless times, and all the big clans try strange and effective stuff on that. But because everyone is kind of scared of these chapter 2 maps because they are so one-sided, there aren't really much expertise on them, or the teams didn't try that many tactics. And I think that's also special for these matches, that we see the tactics still in developing. And due to this, we have I think in the second match where we can field the tanks, we can try out some funny things, and I hope they work out as planned.
Okay. Well, moving away from the strategies you employed and going forward, on tonight's basis on your team and how your team performed, aside from the tank element, is there anything from your side that you felt maybe a bit weak and something that you're going to take away and improve on?
I think we did not really support the Logi as we might have should. So they were kind of on their own sometimes, which made them so easily flankable by 40-1. That can be improved. And but otherwise we were on their game. We fought well. We could maybe play it a bit more aggressive. Usually we have more guys out of the cap, flanking around, looking for rallies. That did not happen as much this time, but that was due to the circumstances. And I think otherwise our infantry did a great job.
Okay, can you describe what your logics were doing tonight? Because I found it hard to capture them. I know you had 88s going on. Were you running a big mortar team as well?
Mortars weren't really the focus today, as the whole infantry fighting, infantry versus infantry is quite doable here. The focus was really on the anti-tank aspect, laying down mines, building 88s, building pucks, all that good stuff.
Okay, and you know about Rusty Foy at this point, and you've mentioned already how good their mortars were. Did you have a plan to counter their mortars going into this?
Well, the whole mortar thing, I kind of have to disagree that the mortars were good on the second capture point, because on the third and fourth and after that you have wonderful protection in the houses of stone, and after that, so the mortars were really just problematic in the second capture point. So we did not really have a big focus on that. Our tanks did not quite work out as we planned, since, you know, I can mention this quite often, but we did not get their tanks. So the tanks would have had a role in fighting the Logi, but that all did not quite work out. But yeah, the mortars were really just a problem on the second point, in my opinion.
Okay, and going towards the capture zones, Rusty 40 took 3 caps. Was that at any point where you're looking at your tickets in this match and you're like, maybe stop stalling the defense and just go out and try to burn out as many tickets as we can?
I think that's not really, well, especially for the 390. I can't speak for the other clans in the alliance, but that's not really our thing. We are more a defensive focused infantry fighting group. So I think we did that order that we should sustain the tickets maybe a bit too late, because I think we could have lost with less ticket difference otherwise. So I think we should have gone to the other direction earlier, that we would preserve our tickets more, and the whole going into the other direction that we should burn the tickets is not really usable, or I think sustainable for the ladder, since tickets are so important for the whole small victory point stuff.
True. Okay, going into next week, do you think you're going to beat Rusty 40 on how many capture zones they took?
I think anything I could say here either comes too cocky or could really bite me in the back after that. So I'm not going to give you an answer here. Sorry. I think we have a big advantage as the attacker, of course. So it's gonna be a different focus for our whole tactics. And I think we have a good chance on fighting the enemy here. but the 40-1 or the Rusty 40 were just so strong tonight. I can really just give a big shout out to all of them. Great fighting tonight, so it's definitely not going to be an easy one on the second round.
Okay, fair enough. Is there any standouts in tonight's performance on your team that you would nominate as being maybe MVP from your side?
I think you said already that you had some MVPs in mind, and due to me not really being on the big scale this match, I can't really fairly nominate anyone. Our Logi tried their best, but were sadly shut down due to the enemy flanking around. Our infantry in general fought very well, but I don't think I can give any MVPs tonight.
Okay, then I'm gonna ask if viewers have any questions. So chat, if you have any questions, put them in chat now. And while we wait for that, is there anything you want to say to the other team? Anything you want to say to the other team?
Not anything I said before, just great fighting. I think we kind of, due to our whole win streak, we were expecting too much from ourselves. I think we were a bit cocky going into this match. So Rusty 40, wonderful match. We're definitely all looking forward to fighting you again.
Okay, fair enough. There's some GGs in chat, so I'm going to guess they're coming from the other side. I don't see any questions, but so, Buxdragon, I appreciate you joining me, and I'm looking forward to next week's match.
Thanks for having me. I'm reserving that interview slot once again.
I'd love to have you on, man. You take care. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, you as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye-bye. Well, peeps, that was Buxdragon. From the Armeegruppe Adler, co-lead, you said it up there, of the 3090.ir. I can't hear you, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Nice. Can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jordan 4 and 2. I'm the game commander for Scriptum within Rusty in Places, and also one of the team commanders for the Rusty 40, playing in the PS Euro ladder.
Okay, I think I got your volume dialed in now.
Cool.
So, I ask everyone this. Tonight's results, are you pleased with it?
We're pretty pleased with them, actually, yeah. We would have liked an extra couple of caps, but who wouldn't? But overall, yeah, we're pleased the plan went as kind of expected, but yeah. Very pleased as a team.
Yeah, you were actually... at one point, you was actually on to get the fourth cap. Just a very unlucky mortar landed at the wrong time. Otherwise, I think you guys would have been on for a fourth cap, and that would have actually tied you with Cole FR, who are currently, I think, they're leading Group 1. So,
yeah, it was unfortunate. That was very unfortunate. But...
yeah, to say the least. So, let's talk about your strategy tonight. What was your strategy going into this game?
Essentially, the French team obviously have an armor advantage on the French maps, on the Chapter 2 maps. So we're going to use that as much as possible. We've got a couple of armor squads, so we were able and we've been practicing close infantry support with French armor. So we knew that was going to be an advantage from the get-go. But for the infantry squads, the basic infantry squads who were essentially throwing themselves at the point, was find the enemy, shoot at the enemy, and drop mortars on the enemy, as many as we could, and then rinse and repeat for every cap. The first cap took a little longer than expected, but then after that it was easy. Not easy, but it was easier once we got our flow. I think after the first point it was going well, and the mortars were on point. They were a little bit out because of the elevation difference, but took us a little while to compensate for that. But once we compensated for the elevation, the map elevation, should I say, the mortars in PS work if you're lower or higher than where you're firing at, you can get a difference of 40 to 50 meters on the splash on the other end. So that needs to be adjusted in, and it's not an exact science.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but that was the basic strategy: was find and fix and destroy. Sounds a bit brutal, but
well, it worked very well because, as you mentioned, for the 3 caps you took, you managed to get on the cap, you cleared it out. Then usually what happened is they'll throw an artillery, push you back, but then immediately you'll jump on the cap again and get it on usually the second wave of your infantry. So the communication between infantry and those mortars who kept changing their angle of fire to push it back the defenders was really good. And there was one squad, the 40-1 squad, that I think was led by It's Lols. I mean, I would have hated to play against those guys because they seemed to kept getting behind into the defenders' lines and were just a constant pain to them. Was that the plan for them?
yeah, that was one of the strategy initially. Obviously, attacking the first cap, you don't know which direction to come in from. You have a few options, one of which is just to throw yourself headlong into the first cap or probe it from everywhere. So we essentially probed from everywhere, and the whole section was to disrupt. I think it's the word. Obviously, a big advantage in tournament play is disrupting supply, disrupting armor, even just calling out what kind of armor's coming up the road. If you know there's a Panzer II coming up the road, you can position to deal with that, or have the armor positioned to deal with that threat. Doesn't even have to be anywhere near the front. It's as long as they spot it going past. If they can't engage it, pass it down the chain, and go from there, which is exactly as it worked out as planned. And their squad working in the background, working in the flanking on the sides, and getting in the rear caps to disrupt any possible logistic support at the back was invaluable, to be honest. I think you said earlier, they would be up there with man of the match alongside the mortars, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you took the second cap, they already had 5 guys on the third cap, and they were already harassing the German defenders. So, great play by them. That first cap, you did mention you got stalled a little bit. You did get taken out by an artillery at some point, but you did take it within, I think, the first 20 minutes, which was quite fast. And then the second cap, again, which is very hard, arguably maybe the hardest on this map, you took it again within 20 minutes. Was that kind of a strategy going into this? You needed to use your speed to kind of push them back as fast as you can?
Yeah, we knew we needed to get the first cap as quick as possible before they could. Obviously, it's a long way for logistics to drive to get 88s anti-tank guns set up, and we did lose armor to 88s early on. So we knew we needed to get that cap so that we could then push on to cap 2. The 2 of the hardest caps to get, as you say. The advantage with the second cap is it's very open, and the approach to it's very open. So we knew our mortars would come into play there very heavily. We could drop them on the top of the hill, and then as we approach, we could start dropping them behind, and then also laying smoke behind as well to cover our advance and generally disrupt their flow of reinforcements coming in. And it worked pretty well. We got rolled a couple of times off the top, but once we got up there, it's almost impossible to get people off if you're getting mortared and when you're trying to push up.
Yeah, and I did zoom over the mortars a little bit, but one thing I didn't see you guys utilize, I saw them on the map, but they didn't seem to play a major part, was fobs. Did you not really utilize fobs this game?
Yeah, we had 2 fobs up for the whole game. We mainly used the MSPs. The fobs were used as a fallback. If the MSP goes down, we've got a fob well concealed, and we can use that to push in. But I believe we had 2 fobs up for the vast majority of the game, if not all of it.
I guess your MSPs just never went down them, but even with Uber trying to flank behind, and at some points they did go deep looking for your spawns. Aside from that, the tank, let's go on to your tanks. You guys utilized 2 30, I'm trying to remember those, Renault's 38s at the beginning and a Panhard. Was it your game plan to use 3 tanks throughout the match, or did you choose to use the 38s at the beginning for a specific reason?
We knew at the beginning that the problem is the main threat at the beginning, as I understand it, was from 88s on the flanks. So firing at long range. So we figured if we throw in a B1 at it all the time, we're just going to lose a lot of tickets for a B1 every time it comes across into open ground. It's cheaper to lose a panhard than risk versus reward, I think. It's easier to take out the armoured car, but if it gets behind everything, it can do a lot of damage. As you know.
Yeah, as I know.
Been in the armoured car with you, and yeah.
Yeah, it's very effective. So by the time you guys took the third cap, you were almost 150 tickets in the lead at that point. Did you guys realize, or did you guys have a hint that you were really far ahead in tickets at any point in the game?
There was a point. I wasn't squad leading this round, oddly, but there was a point where we realised it becomes a ticket game, and at that point, we try a little bit harder, I guess, to get more kills if we can. And we realise at that point, once the enemy starts to dig in and not fall back, then it's a ticket game for us and for them. So we realised there was a little inkling at that point that it was a possibility that they were lower on tickets than we were, which just encouraged us to push a little bit harder and be a bit more risky with our armour, as you can see in the stream. Push it up really close with the infantry and use it that way, which was very effective with the little Renaults pushing up and the B1 as well. So
yeah, your tanks did take some big risks, but it rewarded them. They got quite a lot of kills, and I think at one point the B3 or B1, I can't remember his name, the big boy, stumbled across the German mortar team and just completely decimated the poor guys. I don't think they was expecting that to roll upon them. So yeah, great work by your tank crews tonight. I think you had a 4-man RIP squad in your tanks and a 2-man 40-1 squad, if that's right, in tanks.
I think so. I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't got the squad list in front of me. But yeah, the idea was to have 2 tanks in the field all the time. Use our speed as much as possible, because the big slow French tanks are difficult to get up the road. So use them in more open country. Use the lighter tanks for pushing up with the guys, and using their little pea shooters and machine guns to engage close-up infantry targets, which worked extremely well.
It really did. So I asked this question to Bookstrag, I've asked it to everyone I've interviewed so far. This is the first time Chapter 2 maps are being used in a tournament setting. What's your opinion coming out of this game on Chapter 2 maps?
Whilst I don't particularly like them in tournament play, this map is better than some. The Dinant map isn't very good for tournament play at all. It's very, very quick to lose caps. It's very demoralizing. There's too much elevation. You can't use all the assets you'd like to, and the Dinant map just becomes a street by street, door by door map fight, for example. So it wouldn't have been suitable, I don't think, for the tournament. But it's an interesting take on a tournament map, and I think it's good, but at the same time people dread them. When they come up on map rotations on servers, people dislike them, but they are pretty maps and they are a different flavor. They just take a different kind of gameplay, which we've practiced for the tournament.
Yeah, what we can see from tonight. I agree. I think they picked the best map for doing a tournament setting. I don't think any team wants to see Dinant in a tournament setting at the moment. So yeah. Moving on from that then. So I think, is this the first time you came across Armeegruppe Adler in the tournament so far?
It is, and we know they're a very good team. They're leading the group at the moment, I believe. And you can't help but having some nerves going into a match on a map that isn't very popular, but then you're both at the same disadvantage, I guess, if it's not the best map in the world.
Yeah.
So yes, there were some early jitters when we were doing the planning phase of this, or when the command team was doing the planning, and the plan was excellent. Hats off to the commander who made the plan. JT Infantry planned this one and executed it as the commander. Hats off to him. It was an excellent plan, and with input from both 40-1 and from the squad leaders and everybody in RIP really who gets to see the plan. Everybody came up with some great ideas. 41 threw in tons of great ideas, and then went and practiced in their own time to make it a good game, a good match.
No, we saw that tonight. It was probably one of the most enjoyable matches I've personally cast during this tournament. It was very much. It wasn't a stalemate and it wasn't a steamroll. It was a very nice 2-4 battle where ground was gained on the attacking side, which is nice to see. You did mention that Armeegruppe Adler are top of the group. You guys are unfortunately at the bottom of the group, but after tonight, I think this catapults you into maybe second or third place. So huge for you. Going up against Armeegruppe Adler, is there anything particular about that team that you thought was nasty and you didn't want to encounter? That's too many
we
gaps,
know
guys.
they're very good infantry fighters. We know they're very aggressive, and they like to push out. And I was unfortunately in the woods on the southeast of the first point, and we were very aware that that's an excellent killing ground for infantry in the defense. If they push out a little bit, they can just pick you off one at a time, and they did. But the plan was, sounds crazy, but the plan was to actually do that. Our job was to move around in those woods, engage where we could, spot where we could, pin them where we could, try and drop mortars, which didn't go to plan. But that particular part of it, the mortars don't penetrate the trees very well on this map. But we knew where they were, but we also had a contingency whereby we could switch to another spawn point immediately and push from somewhere else where somebody else had found a weak spot. So that was the find, fix, destroy. Find them, switch to a different angle of attack, and push.
Go.
And I think there might have been a squad in those woods. I haven't watched the full stream back yet. It might have just been 2 blokes. I don't know. But it felt like a squad at least to the southeast of the first cap, and it held our squad up for a good long while in there. But it allowed others to do what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, going on your team's performance tonight, then, is there anything you guys felt that you need to work on going into the second match?
With mortars, we can always work on mortars. They're our specialty at the moment, thanks 40-1. And other than that, everything's coming together quite well. We've been not slow to get started, but hopefully our communications got better between the two clans, and we're working much better as a team now than we were in the first game and second game. And everything's sliding into place, and all the cogs are starting to work properly as they should. So there's always stuff to work on. But as well as that, it's luck of the draw on the night sometimes. If the other team's plan's better, you lose out. But we'll try our hardest in the rematch on the same map next week. And planning for that has already started. So we're looking forward to it, though. It'll be good. And Armeegruppe Adler are a great team. They've already sent congratulations this evening. And we're looking forward to facing them next week and putting our defensive plan into operation.
It's going to be interesting to see. So I've already mentioned that so far, I think you're the only team who's pushed this many caps, equaling Cole FR, who are one of the top teams in the tournament overall together. In their second game, they didn't concede a cap at all, which on Chapter 2 is incredible for the Germans. Do you think you're going to be able to meet that on defense, just like you met their same score on attack?
We'd like to. Obviously, it depends on the plan. At the end of the day, we'd prefer to keep all the caps. Everybody would prefer to keep all the caps, and a win would be fantastic. It would give us some big victory points. Yes, we would like to hold them on cap 1. Whether or not that's possible, we'll have to see on the night. But fingers crossed. That's all I can say, really.
Well, Bucksdragon sounded a little bit cocky. Do you have anything to say about him about going into next week?
No, not really. I thought they felt really. I think they fought really well tonight. It was a hard fight for the infantry. Our tanks and mortars again come in and swoop in and drop the love on people. So that worked very good for us. Our infantry had a hard slog, especially after the first 2 caps. You're fighting house to house and bush to bush, so it's more difficult for the infantry, I think, than the armor. The armor had an easy run this on this map because the French invincible armor, as it is, can be difficult to deal with. The infantry can't do anything about it. So,
well, is there any standouts on your team tonight that you would like to nominate for MVP?
our mortar squad from 41, our armor squad from both 41 and RIP, and the commander. To be honest, JT Infantry, who commanded the match and came up with the bulk of the planning for it. I think those 3 factors combined helped win the day. And obviously, got to mention everybody else as well. All the infantry guys who pushed in and held the points and capped them. But overall, and Loss as well in the background, obviously doing his little disruption tactics. That was a stroke of genius, really, to have that little squad running around in the back.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask if the viewers have any questions currently watching. While I wait for their questions to come in, is there anything you want to say to Armeegruppe Adler? Chat, get your questions in.
Other than, like I've already said, the guys fought
Any questions, chat?
Fought really hard, and it's difficult to fight the Germans on this map. I think they have a slight infantry advantage that offsets the French armor advantage, but it's not better weaponry. The French weaponry is just fine, but they fought hard and pushed in hard when we capped.
Fair. One question I've just been asked is, I'm going to assume, how many mortars did you use this game? And you're probably not going to tell us how many you're going to use for the next game.
We were only, by tournament rules, we can only deploy 4 mortars at a time. Anyway, so I think we deployed 3 this time. We only had 3 mortars firing from memory. May have been 4, but I think we kept it to a minimum of 3 just to keep the squad size down, and that's all we believe we needed.
Another question here, I think this is directed to you, is who do you think is the strongest team in the tournament?
At the moment, it's probably a toss-up between Coalition Francophone and Armeegruppe Adler, to be honest. And, 501E as well are very strong.
Yeah.
Coalition Francophone are terrifying to play against. And 501E, we haven't played them because they're in the other group. But we've played Coalition Francophone in a friendly recently. And outstanding gameplay.
They are very. That's the team I spectated on Friday, and they are very scary. One question is here: what's your opinion on the P50mm pack and the 88?
The 88 is fantastic, as long as you can deploy it in the right place with good lines of sight.
How many mortars? All of them.
With no downwards elevation. If you can fire up, it's great. But it doesn't fire downhill very well. So if you put it in the wrong place, it just becomes a really expensive ornament. It's useless where it is. So you need to, the positioning has to be correct. The pack 50 or the 50mm pack is more mobile, so you can maneuver it into places, and if you can get the shots on and you can not get spotted, you can keep pumping rounds into a tank until it goes down. So they both have their uses. The 88 is just almost a one-shot kill if you get it in the right place. Plus, you can use it against infantry very effectively.
That's true. I think that was the last question. So appreciate you joining me again, Jonah, and I'll see you next week. It's going to be a good game next week.
Yeah, I'll see you and hopefully chat to you next week after the game.
Yeah, see you later, man. Take care.
Later, dude. Ta-ra, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. 5-minute vote is done. Get casting your votes. I've actually put in 5 names this week. The maximum is 5. I can't actually do any more than 5. But there it is. MVP gets 1 million Roblox from Yaz. Fuck a Roblox, man. Did everyone get stuttering? I don't know. Did you guys get the stuttering as well? Sometimes it happens to me. usually around when a tank shoots, my game will freeze for like a split second. I think it's just part of the game. It's happened a few times. Sometimes when it happens, it also crashes the game. So I'm always very nervous about going near tanks when they're shooting like that. Because sometimes it does crash the game. Cocky man votes for himself. I didn't get any stutter at the end. It was on my end. Some of our guys did have a big stutter. It was maybe server wide then. Maybe at that moment when the tank exploded, it just stuttered the server. You know what? I'm gonna cast my vote, and I've got to vote for It's Lols. I mean, my reason for voting for It's Lols, I feel every aspect of Rusty 40 was good tonight on the attack, but I feel It's Lols and his squad was the deciding element. Getting behind enemy lines, taking out rallies, making sure they can't entrench. I'm gonna have to throw my vote towards It's Lols for his squad leading. Don't let him know he's MVP. It'll get to his head. Man, did I spell it wrong? I mean, close enough. Close enough. It's Lols. It's Lols. Show the scoreboard. So the scoreboard's around here somewhere. So here's it at the beginning. So what do we have? We got Able squad, 44 kills there, 28 here, 75 there. I want to see the Uber on the German side. 104 deaths to 63 kills there. 130. See, there's It's Lols. Look at that. 131 to 104. Great game from that squad there. There's the Uber, 84 to 48. That's why Uber were on the leaderboard, led by Hitman. They did a great job at harassing. Let's see the mortars. Where are the mortars going to be? So who are the mortars here? Tank squad did great, 45 to 17. I know Waffle was out the tank spotting a lot. That's why he's got a lot of deaths. Oh, they got disconnected at the end, didn't they? Was this the mortar squad from Rusty 40? I mean, 62 to 0. Mortar squads was squad 6. Yeah, it's thinking got disconnected. Well, there you go, man. 62 kills. Damn. Hide your kids, hide your wife. I'm being invaded by Rusty 40. Surrender now. Me surrender? I'm being invaded? Man, you're lucky I'm not in this tournament anymore. Any team that picked me up to be their tankers, easy win for that team. I'm starting to learn French as well. I'm starting to learn French. Bonjour, je m'appelle Yazoo. Je habite England. Bonjour, ça va bien, monsieur, vous, baguette. No worries, Boxdragon. Appreciate you dropping by, man. Joke's on you, Yaz. Doesn't get invaded. True. Didn't we lose when we had you? I played one game, man. And I did outstanding. I did outstanding. Oui, oui, baguette, oui, oui. Omelette du fromage. Omelette du fromage. Good night, Boxdragon. How long? There's like 30 seconds left on the vote. Go vote. Go vote. This will be in the video. This game will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you're not already, follow me on YouTube. I'll try to get it up on YouTube for tomorrow night. If it's not tomorrow night, it'll be Tuesday night. So make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube. The interview and also the match will be uploaded on YouTube. Yes was standing in the middle of the field the entire time. True. True. I think it's Lols. It's gonna be It's Lols, isn't it? I wish the poll would show on screen. So It's Lols with 40 to 1, the squad leader. 11 votes, 65%, followed by Boxdragon, 18% with 3 votes. The Rusty 40 Mortar crew, 12%, 2 votes. Hitman, 6%, and then the tank crew for Rusty 40, 0%. No love for the tanks. But congrats, It's Lows. You're being voted MVP for this game. Congrats, man. And I gotta say, well done. I mean, you saw in the kills alone, his squad was a KD of 2, constantly harassing, taking out those rallies. They were on the 3rd cap before the 2nd cap was even taken, so it made it impossible for the defenders to get dug in on the 3rd cap. So huge play by It's Lows and his squad.